This podcast is called the Good Skin Podcast, and our skin clinic is called the Good Skin Project. And I am always asked certain questions by my patients, and I always go home and think that everybody is asking such questions, and these questions need answering. So I just hope that you come across this podcast and you find those answers over here, where I will be speaking, I will be getting some of my expert friends, and we will be finding answers to all the difficult questions. Let's start this journey together. Welcome to the Good Skin Podcast. Our first episode is called Unfiltered Reality, where we discuss the answers to some of the most hard-hitting questions from the experts. So I'm Dr. Kashmira, an MD Dermatologist, and I have with me the very talented Dr. Akanksha, who also happens to be my childhood friend.
Thank you, Dr. Kashmira, for the lovely intro. Thank you so much for having me here. It's indeed a pleasure to be doing this with you today.
Yeah, and I never thought as childhood friends we would end up meeting over here after all the years. So, Doc, are you nervous?
As a psychiatrist, I think that's the
Yeah.
first time somebody's asked me
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah, I always wanted to ask that to a psychiatrist. That brings me to the first question that I want to ask you. You know, I always upload pictures on Instagram and Snapchat, and I always put filters a lot of times. And being a dermat, sometimes I feel guilty about it. You know, that I tell people you should be happy with the way you look and you should not chase some perfect beauty standard. But I end up clicking my pictures on Instagram filters. So, do you think with time, social media makes us used to this perfect way of looking at ourselves?
That's a very, very pertinent question, Dr. Kashmira. And I think the first thing that I want to say is for everyone who's watching this today, it's okay to use those filters. It's absolutely fine. Let's be honest, we all do it at some point or the other.
I mean,
It's fun, it's entertaining. You get to experience with a different look before you actually try it on yourself.
exactly.
So definitely it's a positive
It's
thing
a way
as well.
of life.
Yes.
Right now. Yeah.
But it's also a double-edged sword. So when you start using these filters too much and they start interfering with your, as you said, the standards of perfection that you need to meet, we need to understand here that we are chasing something that's not real. The filter is not a real person. Nobody can actually look that perfect. So when you're chasing something that's unrealistic, it impacts your self-esteem, your self-worth, the standards of perfection that you mentioned, symmetry and all of that. I think we need to also explain to others, and we also need to understand this bit, that possibly those are the exact algorithms that are used by the filters, and in this world of AI and digitization,
Yes, 100%.
they are making those filters in such a way so as to make it more symmetrical, make the skin texture in a particular way.
Right.
But we always forget that yes, what is appearing, what is the byproduct coming out of this is again a filtered reality. It's not real. So we are chasing something that does not exist.
Right. Your skin is aging every day. The picture that you clicked is going to be the same for the next 10 years. But your skin is aging every single day, and that is the unfiltered reality.
That
you
is
should
so
know.
true.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And I think that is where the thought process changes. Where
Right.
you're seeing a particular picture, you're feeling, oh, this is the way I should be looking. And then you're actually looking at yourself in the mirror and that doesn't match.
Exactly.
So that gives rise to a difference in the thought, which, psychologically speaking, we call as cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
As humans, we are often triggered by an external focus of validation. What that means in general terms is that we look out to others to give us that sense of feeling fulfilled or feeling happy or feeling good about ourselves. For instance, I see a photo on Insta or Facebook or on a particular social media site, and I see it's got a number of likes, it has a number of comments, and that gives me the validation that, oh yes, I want to put up a picture like this, which will have all these likes, all these comments, and that's how I know I am looking good, I am looking beautiful. That's how I know I've done something worthwhile. And then that standard, you carry on to looking at the image and yourself, and there comes in the cognitive dissonance. And,
Okay.
Dr. Kashmira, this exact cognitive dissonance is the reason that gives rise to a body dysmorphic disorder eventually. They're not feeling good about themselves. They are thinking they should change this part about them. Their lips are too thin or the eyes are too narrow. They want to
Yes.
get fillers, and I'm sure you have a lot of cases coming to you for a number of procedures.
Yes, I see that number has been increasing recently, and I'll give you one example. One thing that is commonly asked is the brows. A lot of people feel कि उनका एक eyebrow is lower and another is up,
Oh.
and it's like I am a dermat. It's my job to explain it to them. Okay, it might be a little asymmetrical, and we can maybe do a Botox. We can lift it. We can do a HIFU. We can. It's a non-invasive procedure. If somebody wants it that badly, there is plastic surgery also. But will you put yourself through all this pain just for the sake of social media pictures and looking perfect? So having realistic expectations from these high technology dermatological treatments is also very important. So that reminds me of a girl who has recently got treated at my clinic. So she was a young, beautiful girl, but she had acne. And she wanted to get that treated. We spoke on that, and we formed a treatment plan and everything. But she also wanted Korean glass skin, and she wanted that very quickly. You know how it is with the youngsters. Sometimes कि अभी मुझे ये भी चाहिए, and then I have this party to attend, and I want to look perfect. So I told her, okay, let's treat the acne first, and then let's go for the glass skin treatment. But so she said, okay, doc, I'll do that, and we had started the treatment. What happened is, over next few months, she was getting the acne treatment from me, but she was also getting certain fillers from some injector, and she didn't want to tell that to me, so she didn't get it double checked whether the person she's getting it treated from, whether the person is certified. And she ended up having a lot of scars. The acne never got treated, instead it got worse, because it was all counterproductive. She was taking antibiotics, she was getting herself treated, but again she was doing the fillers and all. At one point, I remember she came to me and she's like, doc, I just want to give up, I don't want to do anything now. One thing I would like to ask you is, if this girl comes to you and she tells you that I'm not happy with the way I look, she says she doesn't feel like going to parties and all, how would you approach such a girl?
I hear you, Kashmira, and it is not uncommon to find these kind of problems coming in. So I see a lot of youngsters coming to my clinic with these kind of issues. I do see a lot of these young patients myself who come and they often say कि नहीं हमें बाहर नहीं जाना है, मन नहीं कर रहा,
Right.
I'm not good enough, I can't go to this party today because my hair, look at my hair, doc, it's so disheveled. How can I go out with this kind of a hair? And when we look at them, they're looking perfectly beautiful. They are
Exactly.
wonderful the way they are. So I think the one point we need to address here is, possibly it's not just that superficial acne or the hair or the shape or the texture. It's not just that. I think it's something
Right.
much more deeper. Something
Right.
that needs to be addressed psychologically. Some underlying stress that they might be going through.
So I always tell my patients that I'll ask you to put a sunscreen on, but beyond the sunscreen also there should be an invisible layer, a layer which will filter all the negativity out. I know I'm being too I'm being too preachy and spiritual over here, but I have seen a lot of people, actually it's helping them. So what happens is, our mind and skin are always connected to the hormones in our body, and you would agree
That's
that there's
absolutely true,
there's a
yes.
hormone called the happy hormone.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
if you have it, if you are feeling good about yourself, the better you feel about yourself, more is the happy hormone, and the more will you will have to take care of yourself. In the same way, if you are not happy about yourself, maybe you have acne. I tell my patients that one of the reasons for acne is stress. One of the reasons for hair fall is stress.
True.
Dark circles, under eye circles, again stress. And stress gives rise to more dark circles. Stress gives rise to more hair fall, more acne. So that
Yeah.
vicious
That's a vicious
cycle,
cycle.
you need to break that. And I think that is where your expertise is helpful.
No, it's absolutely on point. Yes, it's
Yeah.
becoming a vicious cycle. And when you said about the sunscreen, like the barrier, sunscreen आपको physical barrier बनाकर दे रहा है to protect your skin, your body, एक mental resilience is the barrier that people need to sort of, feel good about themselves.
Right.
So
Especially
you are
aaj,
helping,
today
exactly.
it's important.
You are helping people look good. They also have to look good and feel good about themselves.
Right.
So one way that you can develop this barrier of resilience is by practicing self-care strategies. We all know that meditation, mindfulness, getting your regular exercises done.
Exactly.
We all know that. But
Yes.
let's be honest, how many of us are truly doing it?
Right. And even we as dermats, following a skincare routine, AM routine, PM routine, like we call it, it's not just about skin. So that brings me to one question that I wanted to ask you. Do you think following maybe a basic 5-minute daily skincare routine affects overall mental health?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when we talk about resilience and developing all of that, there are a number of coping and grounding strategies that people use. So, say for instance, if you're feeling particularly anxious at a point, just take a couple of ice cubes, rub them on your face, you instantly feel calmer.
And there's the treatment called icing of your face.
Perfect.
So
it does,
it is
our
connected.
fields are so in sync with each other.
Yeah.
Even that 5 minute of skincare routine, even that 5 minute of a breathing exercise, it will generate the endorphin, the happy hormone that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think the key is to hack your happy
Hacking
hormones.
the happy hormones. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we can do a separate section totally on that. So I would like to give a disclaimer here. Not all skin diseases are caused or related to stress. But from what I have been taught in my medical school is that acne is definitely related to stress. Hair fall is related to stress. Under eye circles, and there are many other diseases which can be attributed to the stress levels in our lives. And if acne related to stress, more stress because of the acne, and again more acne. So the vicious cycle goes on and on. So what I would like to know from you, Doc, is how do we break this vicious cycle?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When we talk about stress and skin conditions coming in, obviously we've all read about eczema flaring up because of stress, acne, autoimmune disorders flaring up, and then that flare up, of course, gives rise to more stress and the cycle that you mentioned. Now, this vicious cycle is not just with us, like we are normal people. Even celebrities go through this. I mean, imagine the level of stress that they have. Influencers, celebrities.
Constantly.
They're constantly under scrutiny. They have to look good at every point in time.
Right.
They have to manage that stress of looking perfect in front of the camera at all points in time.
True.
But even they are, they've spoken about mental health issues and how they're managing their stress. I think the key here to breaking that vicious cycle is learning how to manage that stress. The stress gets down, you have better skin and better mental health.
Right. So that reminds me of one term that I had read on social media itself. That's a paradox. I read about digital detox on a social media site. And that's something which is spoken a lot about these days. But there's a lot of confusion about it. So I would like to know from you, what exactly is a digital detox?
Right.
Do I not go and see Instagram for maybe 1 day or 2 day, or because the number of days, it gets difficult,
Absolutely.
because we are so used
I
to
hear
it.
you.
Yeah.
I completely hear you. And so let's be realistic here. A complete 100% digital detox for an indefinite period of time is a myth.
Yes.
We live in this century, this day and age where there's AI, there's digitization of every single thing around us. That's not doable.
Right.
But we need to understand that thin line which we cross and where we need to take a digital detox. So let me explain about this to you. When we look at a particular thing on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat for that matter, when we consume a lot of social media feeds, there are things that hit us that that sort of release a dopamine in our brains, and that gives us a kick, and you feel good. That feeling of feeling good, you want to replicate more number of times in your day. Correct. And that is what leads us to consume more content. Try and become more perfect. Try and go for more procedures. As you mentioned that people come to you for
Right.
skin conditions and
Right.
treatment and all of that.
So more dopamine,
Correct.
more
Correct.
content.
But the
Yes.
flip side of the dopamine is when you start getting more releases of dopamine, the amount of dopamine that was released in the previous cycle is no longer enough to give you the same kick.
Oh, it's exhausted.
So it's like an
Okay.
addiction.
Okay.
So
Got it.
you just get used to it. So the one way that you can, help yourself by releasing the happy hormone, the endorphin, giving yourself a balanced release of the dopamine is by one of the strategies, as you mentioned, is a digital detox. Now,
Okay.
of course, it's not doable 100%, but what you need to understand is there is a limit. At a certain point, we know that now we are feeling a little overwhelmed by the feed.
That
We
is
know
where we
it's
stop.
upsetting you.
Right.
You know it's now getting to you. That is the point. Tell yourself you need a break.
Right. Like, this is not my life. I have other
Exactly.
things to do in
Yes.
life. Yeah.
Take a break, do a couple of grounding techniques, do some breathing,
Right.
go splash some water on your face, just get back to the ground reality, come back, and then start your day again. So this will help you, sort of reducing your stress levels. Apart from the digital detox, there are multiple other strategies that we use for stress reduction. As I mentioned about the breathing, number of lifestyle changes, getting more mindful, bordering on sounding too preachy here, but mindfulness is an amazing technique that you can use, does not take too much of your daily time. I know everyone's very, very busy today with all the things that they have to do, but
Right.
mindfulness is a wonderful thing, takes up very little time, can be done anywhere.
Right. So I guess anything that makes you happy, except
Correct.
I guess watching reels on Instagram, any other thing that makes
Sometimes
you
it's
happy.
okay.
Yeah. But 5 minutes of, like you said, just going out, taking a
Right.
walk or doing skincare routine for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Now being a the dermat has spoken. So even that, I think in the long run is going to help you hack the happy hormone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kashmira, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Both our fields, psychiatry, dermatology, they've both evolved over the last few years. And
Right.
every day there's something new coming in. There's a new therapy, there's a new form of skin treatment. There's a lot
True.
of fads that are coming in. I've heard of this Korean
Yes,
glass
the Korean
skin.
glass skin. Yes, I get that
What
a lot.
are these? How do you get that?
So, one thing is that Korean glass skin looks good on the Koreans, but their skin type is different. I mean, there's a medical term called Fitzpatrick skin type, and there's type 1, type 2, type 3, and Indians fall somewhere in type 3, 4, or 5, and the types that are higher like type 1 or 2. So generally the fair skinned people and the people who have that glowing, the ones that we see on social media and those Korean ladies, so their skin, what happens is Indian skin, we pigment, we don't wrinkle. That's I mean, if we go out, you go out in the sun and you stand for like half an hour or maybe 1 hour, you will feel that, that your skin feels the
True.
pigmentation. The same thing if somebody from maybe Europe or some fair skinned person, basically, their skin won't tan.
Okay.
It will develop wrinkles faster.
Is that because of melanin?
Yes. So melanin, you said correctly, Dr. Akanksha, that melanin is the pigment in our skin, and we as Indians have more pigment. That's why we have skin type 3, 4,
Right.
and the pigment increases when we go out. Lesser pigment means they will develop more wrinkles.
Oh.
So we pigment, we don't wrinkle. That's the thing
Right.
about Indian skin. For example, कोई Indian कोरिया में जाके भी अगर they get this Korean skin treatment done, वापस आके it's going to be the same because we live in a different geographical area, different climate and everything. That's definitely going to affect the skin. So aiming for a glass skin while you're living, in India, especially here in Mumbai, with the humid climate and the temperature, it becomes difficult to maintain that skin.
So I think that's unrealistic.
Yeah, I think that is unrealistic. What is real is, so the first step in this is acceptance. You would agree that being comfortable and happy in your own skin,
Right.
the way you are, that makes it very easy for you to correct it. I mean, if you feel if you have acne, you have pigmentation, but otherwise you have healthy skin, and you don't want to aim for something which is not your skin type. So it becomes easier. You know your skin is like this and this is what you want to get treated. And then there are always dermats who are going to help you treat it.
Great. So basically do the skin treatments that you actually need, not necessarily just the ones that you want.
Right. That is definitely going to help you get a healthier skin.
By the way, can I ask you a trick question here? So if you have healthy skin, would you still recommend makeup?
Yes, I would. I feel makeup looks good on a skin that is well maintained. So if your skin is healthy and the makeup is not giving you acne and adding to your dermat visits, you can definitely do makeup. I mean, that is what is making you feel confident in your own healthy skin. Why not?
वो मेकअप करो जो आपको कॉन्फिडेंस दे,
exactly,
जो आप खुद के लिए करना चाहते हो.
Yes, exactly. So that brings me to the last question of this show. What would you like to advise to someone who's watching this show right now and is going through the same issues that we discussed about because of their skin? They are facing a difficult time because of the way they look.
And I think we did, discuss this to the point that stress and skin conditions are interlinked. So I think my advice would be try and reduce your stress. And there are a couple of ways to do it. Number one, as we discussed, was increasing your resilience by using coping mechanisms. Like we discussed the self-care, the mindfulness part, getting a proper exercise routine, having a balanced meal, good sleep.
Right.
Those are the basic lifestyle modifications. Number two, of course, if you feel that the stress is not manageable by you, you're not able to do it even with the help of friends and family and all the lifestyle skills you have, there's no harm in visiting a therapist, going to a therapy session. If that is also not working out, there are other mental health professionals such as psychiatrists who can help out treating you if there's an underlying. Sometimes what happens is because of the stress, if there's a chronic stress, you tend to have obsessive thoughts, ruminations. It can even lead to body dysmorphism.
Right.
Sometimes, unfortunately, we've seen people even go through depression.
Right.
Because it's left untreated for so long.
Because we tend to delay it, right?
Exactly. So in that case, there's absolutely no shame and no harm in seeking help. So my advice would be, please seek help for your mental health if you need to, because you don't want to be just looking beautiful from outside. You also want to feel good from inside, which will help you look better.
So I think the bottom line is you need to feel good in order to look good. So this brings us to the end of our concluding part of our podcast. And I would like to thank you, Dr. Akanksha, for helping us with all our skin-related questions and overall skin and mental health-related questions.
Thank you so much, Kashmira, for having me here. It was indeed a pleasure. I hope,
Yes, it has been very helpful to me. And I'm sure to a lot of people out there who are watching this. So I guess what I can take from this conversation is that taking care of yourself is very important, and your health and your skin is your biggest investment. So you should make time for it.